It's all part of us. We can all choose love. It'll lift you up.
This lesson is about the formula and how to implement it at home. The Choose Love formula guides you to choose love in any situation. If you're watching this lesson, then you should have completed lesson 1, which means you learned from lesson 1 about social and emotional learning, emotional intelligence, neuroscience, and the process of responding with love. So here's a quick review. SEL, or social and emotional learning, is about self-awareness and relations with others. Knowing the brain and how it works helps us know ourselves better and how to manage our feelings, the self-awareness piece, and how we interact with others. That's the relationship piece, the others piece. This is what your child is learning at school. We learned the triune brain, Dr. McLean's model, and the 3 parts of the triune brain, which are 1, the primitive brain, or lizard, 2, the emotional brain, or numbat, and 3, the rational brain, or as we call it, the human brain. The primitive brain controls basic bodily functions and reflexes. The emotional brain is where emotions and feelings live, and the rational brain is where we solve problems, our thinking brain. Your child has learned to leave the lizard, nudge the numbat, to hug the human, so he or she can choose love. You've learned to mind the gap between your emotions and feelings. In other words, thoughtful response versus impulsive reaction. We learned about emotions: anger, fear, joy, sadness, disgust, contempt, and surprise, and the fact that an emotion is an experience that happens in the body. We learned that feelings are different because feelings are thoughts. They happen in the brain. Both feelings and thoughts can be changed. Remember how this whole movement started? Change an angry thought to a loving thought? Emotions are impulsive reactions. Emotions just happen. Like when your child runs across the room and knocks over your grandmother's vase and breaks it. Your emotion takes over. Your face gets red. Your heart starts pounding and you clench your fist. The outcome can be traumatic for you and your child. My personal response is to yell, and yelling is traumatizing to your child. We learned that being mindful and taking the time to think about emotions and feelings is minding the gap. We pause in order to respond with love instead of reacting from our emotional brain. You have learned a lot, and you are already more emotionally intelligent than most adults. Congratulations. This is significant because in parenting, especially, you cannot give what you do not have. So that was a lot of information for one session, and you did it. You completed the lesson and now the review. Now you have the foundation for parenting, and the rest of the lessons help you to understand even more. So now it's time for the Choose Love formula. Here's a clip of Scarlett talking about the formula.
The formula for choosing love came from a message my 6-year-old son, Jesse Lewis, left on our kitchen chalkboard shortly before he died in the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary. Jesse wrote 3 words: nurturing, healing, love. I saw those words a few days after he died and knew that this was meant as a message of comfort for his family and friends, but also a message of inspiration for the world. This is where we needed to move towards in order to survive and thrive. I knew the young man that had perpetrated the violence was not able to give or receive love, and if he could, the tragedy would never have occurred. I have dedicated my life to spreading Jesse's message of nurturing, healing love to individuals all over the world through the Choose Love movement. The Choose Love movement started by asking individuals to consciously choose a loving thought over an angry thought. By choosing loving thoughts, you make yourself feel good, you positively impact those around you, and through the ripple effect, you make the world a better place. Nurturing, healing, love. Those three words are in the definition of compassion across all cultures. When you break down the meaning, nurturing means loving kindness and gratitude. Healing literally means forgiveness, and love is compassion in action. When you practice those three character values in that order, you are choosing love. It becomes a rope that you let down to yourself in the well of any situation, and you can use it to pull yourself out. The first thing you do is think of something you're grateful for, and there's always something to be grateful for. You can start with your breath, nature, and beautiful flowers. This gives you the strength to forgive. Forgiveness is not taught, and very few people understand what forgiveness really means. Forgiveness is a conscious choice, a decision to let go of anger and resentment. It does not mean that you forget. It does not mean that you condone what the other person did. And it does not mean that you can't hold that person accountable for their actions. It simply means that you take personal responsibility for your thoughts and feelings and release thoughts of anger and resentment. Compassion has two components. One is identifying what someone else is feeling. The second component is actively doing something to help or ease that pain. This is compassion in action. The first empathetic component can be painful and lights up the same centers in the brain as physical pain. The second component helps both the giver and the receiver. It's when the healer becomes the healed and cultivates connection and resilience. Courage is an overarching concept because it takes courage to choose love. It takes courage to be grateful, especially when things aren't going your way. It takes courage to forgive, especially when the person who hurt you isn't sorry. And it takes courage to step outside of your own universe of pain and help someone else. Thus, the formula for choosing love is courage plus gratitude plus forgiveness plus compassion in action equals choosing love. We all want to love and be loved. This is the common thread that connects us all. We can choose love for ourselves and others. Choosing love just may be the most important choice that you will make.
We are going to use the formula to help set the intention for choosing love at home. We will learn about each character value of the formula in the following 4 lessons. There's a lesson for each. To implement the formula at home, start by talking respectfully with your family about your intention to choose love at home. You can begin your family discussion by asking questions. Here are some sample questions. Do you know what the Choose Love formula is? Yes? What is it? Let's listen now to Scarlett as she talks about how powerful setting intention has been at schools.
Love is in our schools. Educators choose their profession because they love children. The Choose Love Enrichment Program brings this love into school and classroom environments in an intentional way. I'm always learning. I learned how powerful the concept of choosing love really is and setting an intention to choose love from one of our school's experiences. I visited a middle school in Connecticut last fall that decided to implement the program school-wide. Every educator had decorated their classroom with a formula for choosing love in creative ways. The art teacher actually created a 6-foot by 6-foot papier-mâché heart with the formula for choosing love on it and placed it at the entrance of the school so that everyone walked by it on their way in and out. When the students came back from summer break, they were each given a sheet of paper with our heart logo at the top, and they colored that in, and then they were asked to write how they chose love over the summer. So I chose love by, and then they filled in the blank. Every student did this, and when I came in to visit 2 weeks later, the walls were literally covered with these. They formed hearts with some of the sheets and even used the sheets to write the words "Choose Love" across one span of windows. That day I was visiting classrooms and walking down the hall with the principal and one of the teachers. They were telling me how the teachers were reporting they were happier after only 2 weeks of the start of the year, and there were already less behavioral issues being reported. They were pretty amazed by this. I was excited too, but I started thinking about it and realized since they were one of our first schools, They had been busy doing surveys for the first few weeks, and they hadn't even begun to teach the lessons yet. I said to them, "This is pretty incredible, guys, but you haven't even gotten to the lessons." We were all stunned. We realized then the power that setting the intention to bring love into the school had. Those words, choose love, were all over, and that vernacular was already in the hearts and minds of the educators when their students came in their first day.
That is pretty amazing, isn't it? So what we learned from the school example is that setting the intention changes your thoughts and behavior, and there's research to back that up. Now I'm going to talk about positive affirmations. This is another way to set an intention. A positive affirmation is an empowering statement or thought that you make to yourself or to someone else to overcome a challenge, an obstacle, or a doubt. They help you to create visuals and a belief in what you want to achieve. For instance, choosing love. These are very powerful. You can have a chalkboard or a whiteboard. Scarlett had a chalkboard in her kitchen. Scarlett told me that above where Jessie wrote nurturing, healing love, she had written her favorite Abe Lincoln quote, "People are about as happy as they make up their minds to be." Some positive affirmations that could work in your home would be similar to what I had on my wall. We choose love. We have loving thoughts and behavior. We are getting better and better every day. We do fun. We are grateful. We forgive. All positive affirmations. And positive affirmations can also help you to reframe a thought. We all have had times and perhaps heard children think or say negative things. Have you ever heard your child say something like, "I'm so stupid"? You can help your child reframe this thought by using positive affirmations. You can do this by suggesting, how about saying, "I'm learning and growing every day," or "I learn from mistakes." This helps your children and ourselves to learn to be more optimistic. And there's research to back this up. So that wraps up lesson 2. Take some time to process this information. Talk with your family about your intention to choose love at home. Get creative with the Choose Love formula. Commit to it with your family and post the formula. Then see if you can implement some positive words or phrases with a whiteboard or a chalkboard. And we'll see you in about a week for lesson 3. Thanks.
It's all part of us. We can all choose love.